या देवी स्तूयते नित्यं विबुधैर्वेदपारगैः सा मे वसतु जिह्वाग्रे ब्रह्मरूपा सरस्वती। नमामि नारायणपादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायणपूजनं सदा वदामि नारायणनामनिर्मलं स्मरामि नारायणतत्त्वमव्ययम्. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Ayappan, Mahaperiyava and other Guru Parampara, we are now going to enter into Dasakam 12, verse number 1. Prior to that, in the last Dasakam 11, last verse number 10, Bhattacharya had mentioned one word here, Bhavataika Drishyaha. He says, O Marutpuradisha, O Marudalayasha, Bhavataika Drishyaha. That I didn't mention the meaning of that, elaborated upon it. He says, one who can be seen only by the devotees, attained only by the devotees. Only devotees can see the Lord. That message is given in that word, which is coming in the verse number 10, which I thought I will elaborate a little more to just explain about this. But basically, one has to understand that when we relate oneself to the Lord, everybody is a devotee. All our relationships are secondary. A person is father to his son, and son to his father, grandson to his grandfather. So on it goes. Shishya to Guru, Guru is to Shishya. Like that, the relationship keeps on changing. The same person, when he related to different person, he is seen differently. So this relationship is a secondary relationship which keeps on changing. But when the person is fundamentally a devotee, that devotee doesn't change. For example, when a person is son to his father, he is a devotee son. And the father is also a devotee father. So the devotee in aspect does not change. The secondary relationship only changes. The son, father, brother, sister, husband, wife, and all these relationships, grandfather, grandchildren, all these are secondary relationship. So only when one invokes the devotion aspect, the devotee in that, then alone one can see the grace of the Lord. So a devotee is one who is attached to the Lord and detached from the world. Whereas a person who is not a devotee, he is attached to the world and detached from the God. So Swadharma and remembering the Lord, name of the Lord, alone are the indications of unflinching devotion to Lord. Swadharma causes mental purity or antakarana shuddhi. It removes the manomalam. Manomalam is the mind, the dirt in the mind. Manomalam. Manushyanam parama dukkha karanam. That is mentioned. It is a cause of sorrow. So the Swadharma in the form of like performance of a Sandhyavadana etc. is a must for a Yajnopavidi, one who is wearing the sacred thread. Na Gayatriya param mantram, na matuhu param daivam. Like that is mentioned there. That there is no mantra which is more supreme, sacred than Gayatri mantra. And there is no mother. Mother is more supreme, is equivalent to the Lord, God. In the case of Gayatri, it is a mantra as well as it is also the Mata. So therefore the Gayatri mantra is very sacred. So when one performs the Sandhyavadana mantra, he remembers the Lord, he invokes his grace. And one who performs his Swadharma, he always gets attached to the Lord. He deviates from the path of Adharma. By not performing this Swadharma, one does not get the grace of the Lord. In fact, when one does not perform the Swadharma, it is considered as a papa. It attracts papa. And therefore one has to perform one Swadharma. And only along with Swadharma, one can do all other activities, even chanting the name of the Lord, etc. Then 2 days, for example, the disorder we see is because there is a lot of disrespect for the Prakriti, and Swadharma is not done by the persons. It is in accordance with the Varnashrama. Bhagavan says in Gita also, Swadharmo nitanasreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. One who performs Swadharma is dear to me. Even if he gets killed, I will give him Veeraswarga. As we see also, all Kshatriyas when they killed, they got, even Duryodhana got Veeraswarga. And therefore it is very necessary that one must perform the Swadharma. Since that Swadharma is not performed today, a disorder has set in. And to correct the disorder, we have to engage ourselves in the activity of Sudharma. It's the duty of the parents to tell their children to perform Sandhyavandanam, etc., which is very, very important for the spiritual growth and also for worldly order. Without the order in the world, there is no peace at home also. So that is the importance which is mentioned there. That there should not be, nowadays we see that parents are afraid of children, therefore they are not able to tell, which is not true. It is said in our Shastra, when parents fear the children, or husband fears the wife, or guru or teacher fears the student, shishya, there is total disorder in society. Without fear and with true love, devotion and unconditional love, we should perform our Sudharma. Then only we invoke the grace spontaneously and lead a happy life. True devotion is always born of unconditional love. It is not a Sakama Bhakti, it is a Niskama Bhakti, which makes the devotee as belonging to Lord. That is what we call as the Dasoham Bhavana, which ultimately culminates in the Atma Jnanam or the Soham. So here Bhattacharya Bhatta is mentioning about the same thing, that Bhavataikya Drishyaha, one who can be seen only by devotee, a devotee of this nature, who invokes the Lord's grace, who has got Nishkama Bhakti. He alone will be able to see the Lord. See the Lord in the midst, can invoke His grace and can lead a happy life. That's how this verse ends. Now we are going into the Dasaka number 12. This is called Varahavatara Varnam is done here. This is set in the Chandas Vasanta Tilaka, which has got 14 syllables in each line. We'll read the verse now. Swayam bhuvo manurato janasargashilo drishtva mahimasamaye salile nimagnam shrashtaramapasharanam bhavadhangriseva tushtasayam munijanaihi sahasatyaloke. Repeat again. Swayam bhuvo manurato janasargashilo drishtva mahim asamaye salile nimagnam srashtaramapasharanam bhavadangriseva tushtasayam munijanai sahasatyaloke. The Anvaya like this. Ato janasargashilaha swayambhuvaha manuhu mahim asamaye salile nimagnam drishtva munijanai saha satyaloke bhavadangri seva tushtasayam. The Abhitpati is like this. Bhavataha angri sevaya tushtaha ashayaha hridaya yasya tam. That is called the compound word. Bhavadangri seva tushtasayam. Srishtaram in the creation. Sharanam apa. Ato then janasargashilaha, who was engaged in the creation. Swayambhuvaha manuhu. Swayambhu manu. Mahim, the earth. Asamaye, at an unexpected time. Means when pralaya was not due. Salile nimagnam, immersed in the water. Drishtva, seeing. Munijanaihi saha, along with sages. Satyaloke, in Satyaloka. Bhavadhangri seva tushtasayam, whose heart delighted in the service of thy lotus feet. Srishtaram, in the Creator. Brahma. Sharanam apa, sought refuge. Then Swayambhuva Manu, who was engaged in creation, finding the earth immersed in water, even though it was not time for pralaya, went for succor, accompanied by sages, to Brahma in Satyaloka, who delighted in the service of thy lotus feet, or who was in great joy and peace serving the Lord. This is how the meaning goes. After this Naimitika Pralaya sleep, the time talked about is the after the Naimitika sleep, Pralaya of the Brahmaji. That is after the sleep of Brahma. Brahma created Manu and Satarupa, which we saw in the concluding verse of Dasagam 10, from his body. Swayambhu Manu, who was engaged in the creation, he saw the earth submerged in water. Therefore, he could not continue the srishti. Approached Brahma along with Sanakadi and Marichi rishis. We saw that Sanakadis and Marichi, 9 rishis which are mentioned in the Dasagam 10. Now here it should be noted that Bhumi was submerged in water. It is not due to Pralaya. That's what is mentioned here. It was not time for Pralaya. So it is not due to Pralaya, but due to the action of Hiranyaksha. And therefore this submerging at a time it is Akala, when it is not the right time. Normally, any creation and dissolution, they are all manifested only through time. Without time, there is no Pralaya or creation, Prapancha. Therefore, Praja Srishti is part of Kala Srishti. You should understand here. So here to indicate here that Hiranyaksha has even become Kalatita, overpowered the time. Basically due to the Vidvesha Yoga, the power of the curse. He was basically Jaya and Vijaya, the devotee of the Lord. Therefore, he had the power. So he overpowered the time and submerged the Bhumi. This is not a Pralaya. Therefore, it is a matter of serious concern. So it is presented here that Bhumi or earth was submerged in water by Hiranyaksha because of his extraordinary powers. And therefore, Manu and the sages who were aware of this, who could not continue the creation, became panicky. They saw the power of Hiranyaksha and therefore they sought refuge in Brahma. And Brahma was at that time engaged in serving the feet of the Lord. He was in great joy and peace through devotion to the feet of the Lord. This is how the verse number 1 goes away, because it's concluded. We'll now go to the verse number 2. This entire Dasaka is in the meter called Vasanta Tilaka. As I said, each line has got 14 syllables. One more thing to be noted here is this Varahavatara, the incarnation as a boar, is described in the Bhagavata 3rd skanda, Tritiya skanda, Adhyayas 13, 17, 18 and 19. So these 4 Adhyayas covered in Tritiya skanda is narrated in Dasaka 12 and 13. 12 and 13 deals with the Varahavatara and how Hiranyaksha is destroyed, is killed by the Lord. Is described here. So with this, we will go into the verse number 2. Kashtam praja srijati mayyava nirnimagna sthanam sarojabhava kalpaya tat prajanam ityeva mesha katito manuna swayambhu amboruhakshatava padayukam vyachintid. Kashtam praja srijati mayyava nirnimagna sthanam sarojabhava kalpaya tat prajanam ityeva mesha katito manunam swayambhu amboruhaksha tava padayukam vyachintid. The Anvaya like this. He Sarojabhava Mayi Prajaha Srijati Sati Avanihi Nimagna Kashtam Tat Prajanam Sthanam Kalpaya Iti Evam Manuna Katitaha Eshaha Swayambhuhu Tava Padayugam Vyachintid. Amboruhaksha, He Amboruhaksha, like that. He Sarojabhava, O Brahma, Mayif Prajaha Srijati Sati is understood here. While I am creating the beings, Avanihi Nimagna, the earth is immersed. Avani means the earth here. Kashtam, alas. Tat, therefore, Prajanam Sthanam Kalpaya, provide an abode for the beings. Iti evam, thus, Manuna Katitaha, told by Manu, Eshaha Swayambhuhu, this Brahma, Tava Padayugam, thy 2 feet, Vyachintid, contemplated, He Amboruhaksha, O lotus-eyed Lord. The meaning goes like this. O lotus-eyed Lord, Saroja Bhava, being told by Manu thus, O Brahma, while I am creating beings, the earth is immersed in water. Therefore, I am not unable to continue the creation. Alas implies a very serious situation is talked about, and therefore provide an abode or residence for the created beings. Thus, the Manu approached Brahma, and Brahma in turn, who was engaged in the service of the Lord, contemplated upon thy lotus feet. So Manu approached Brahma for refuge, and Brahma, knowing that it is beyond his powers to sustain the creation, now sought refuge again at the feet of the Lord. More in the next session. Bhave bhave yatha bhaktihi padayostava jayate tata kurushva devesha natastvam no yata prabhu nama sangeetanam yasya sarva bhava pranasanam pranamo dukkha samanaha tam namami harim param. Narayana Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Hari Om. Ya Devi Stuyade Nityam Vibhudhair Vedaparagaihi Same Vasat Jihvagre Brahmarupa Saraswati. Namami Narayana Padavankajam Karovi Narayana Pujanam Sada Badami Narayana Namadharmalam Smarami Narayana Tattvamabhyayam. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Vairappan, Mahapariva and other Guru Parampara. We are now continuing our discussion on the second 12, completed verse number 2 last time with the literal meaning, and we are proceeding further with this verse in this session. In this verse number 2, there are 3 types of address made here. One is He Saroja Bhava. Brahma is addressed as Saroja Bhava. Saroja means it is lotus. So one who is born from the lotus, therefore is called Saroja Bhava. And the second address, Brahma is also called as Swayambhu. Swayambhu is the address given to Brahma. We will discuss this topic because this word is coming also in the Vishnu Sahasranama Archana. Yes, the Lord name of the Vishnu also. That will come to this now. And the third one is Amboruhaksha. Amboruhaksha means the lotus-eyed Lord. Aksha means eye. Amboruha means one who is as a lotus-like eye. That's how the Lord is addressed as Amboruhaksha. So Amboruhaksha is addressed to Lord, whereas Swayambhu is addressed to Brahma, but it also goes to Lord. His name is coming in the Vishnu Sahasranama, and it is also applicable in this instance, which we will see also very clearly. Swayambhu is coming as 37, verse Nama 37. It says, Swayam eva bhavati iti Swayambhu. Atava, this is Shankara's commentary. Atava Swayambhuhu Parameshwaraha Swayameva Swatantro Bhavati. The another meaning is Na Paratantraha. The another meaning is Sarvesham Upari Bhavati iti va Swayambhuhu. Swayameva Bhavati iti Swayambhuhu. The meaning means one who is self-existent. He is the uncaused cause, not created by anyone. Agotraha, we can give that meaning. But also Anadi, meaningless. So everything else is created. When you take, for example, a shirt, the Atma of the shirt is other than the shirt, and it does not depend on the shirt. So the shirt depends on its Atma, which is the fabric for its existence, whereas the fabric does not depend on the shirt. But the fabric also is not independent. It is Paratantra. That's why he said it is Na Paratantra here. It is Paratantra, dependent on something else, the yarn. The yarn depends on the fiber depends on the molecules on atoms, the atoms on particles, the particles, etc. And finally dependent on knowledge. So knowledge is dependent on consciousness. Thus we find that everything is Paratantra, depending on something else for its existence. So the Chaitanya consciousness, which is a Satyam, which is Swayameva Bhavati, exists by itself without depending on anything else for its existence. That is why the word Swayambhu is used in this. As the Parabrahma, which is the uncaused cause, which has no cause, which is independent. Swatantraha. As Satyam and Jnanam, it is the Atma of everything. Ishvara is Swayambhu because his Atma is Swayambhu. Then Swayameva Bhavati iti Swayambhu. It is also mentioned as that second meaning, which means he himself has become everything, manifests as everything because he has created everything out of himself. We have saw that abhinna nimitta upadana karana is both the intelligent cause as well as the material cause. So like a spider, everything has come from Ishvara, on his own material is come. He is all the Vartopadana, that means without undergoing any change, that is a Parabrahman. And from the Maya aspect, Parinami Upadana, undergoing, bearing names and forms, which are the same. So both are with Ishvara, he is separate from it, and therefore he is both the Nimitta, Parinami Upadana. So everything else, the entire universe has come from him. That's why it says Swayameva Bhavati. It has not come elsewhere. Then it says also Sarvesham Upari Bhavati iti va Swayambhu. That means he exists about everything. So Ishvara transcends time, space and objects. He is Mayatita. So he is above everything. He is the Parabrahman himself. Therefore he is above everything. He is not attached to any of the creations. He exists independently. That's what it means. Upari Bhavati. There is none above him. So Yesham Upari Bhavati Yascha Upari Bhavati iti va Swayambhu. He exists as everything and above everything, as said. It is also said in the Isavasya Upanishad as Paribhu Swayambhu. Paribhu is above. This comes in the Isavasya. Then it says Atava Swayambhu Parameshwaraha Swayameva Swatantraha Bhavati iti. Or else he is the Parameshwara. He is Swatantra, we saw it earlier, not dependent on everything. Even Maya is not created, it is Anadi, but is Paratantra, dependent on Brahman. So Brahman reflected in Maya is Ishvara. So Maya is Brahmashraya. Therefore Maya is not Swatantra, it is Paratantra. So the creation is Paratantra. So Ishvara as Parabrahman is Swatantra. Therefore he is called Swayambhu, Swayameva Bhavati. That is the meaning of the word. Now in this context, the word is very relevant because Brahmaji goes to the Ishvara. In this context also, this verse is very relevant, the Swayambhu, because the Kala Bodha is still not there. Because Hiranyaksha has immersed the Bhumi in water, the Srishti which is born in Sankalpa is also disrupted. So Manu's Sankalpa for creation also was totally decimated. Therefore Srishti or creation has come to a standstill. So Brahma being the mediator creator, the Sanakadis and Manus, they went to Brahma for his help. But Brahma himself found that these could not do anything because Hiranyaksha is a Kalatita now. Because he has upset the creation, and therefore Brahma sought the refuge of the Lord. In fact, he could not have a darshan of the Lord because the creation itself was disrupted. It has come to a standstill, and therefore he could not create. The creation came to a standstill, and therefore he had to meditate on the Lord. The verse says that he contemplated at the lotus feet. So therefore, ultimate Swayambhu, although is addressed as Brahma, the Brahma himself had to go to Lord himself, who is the ultimate Swayambhu. That's how the verse ends here. So we concluded the verse 2. Now we are coming to the verse number 3. We'll read the verse now. Aha bibho jalamaham napibam purastad adyapi majjati mahi kimaham karomi ittam twadhangrijugalam sharanam yatosya nasa putat samababa shishukola rupi. Once more. Ha ha bibho jalamaham napibam purastad adhyapi majjati mahi kimaham karomi ittam twadangrijugalam sharanam yatosya nasa pudat samababa shishukola rupi. Then they are like this. He bibho ha ha aham purastad jalam nyapibam adhyapi mahi majjati aham kim karomi ittam twadangrijugalam sharanam yataha asya nasa putat shishukola rupi samabhavaha. This is how the Anbaya. So, hey Vibho, O Lord, ha ha, alas, aham, I, purastad, previously, jalam nyapibam, drank the waters. Adhyapi, now again, mahi majjati, the earth is being submerged. Aham kim karomi, what shall I do? Ittam saying so, twadangri yugalam, at thy pair of feet, sharanam yataha, who had taken refuge, asya of Brahma, nasa putat, from the nostril, shishukola rupi, in the form of an infant boar, samabhavaha, thou did emerge. Meaning of the verse: Brahma took refuge at thy pair of feet, saying, O Lord, alas, I drank all the waters long ago, but now the earth is being submerged in water again. What shall I do? From his nostril thou didst then emerge in the form of an infant boar. This is how the verse goes. Here you will find there is a reference made by Brahma saying that, O Lord, I drank all the waters long ago. This long ago is a reference we have seen also in the Dasaka number 9, verse number 9. Then it's mentioned Brahma, having meditated for 100 years and getting more spiritual and mental power than before, saw the lotus being shaken by the wind in the waters. So wind and water shaking the lotus. And therefore, strengthened by that strength, he himself drank up the wind and the water. It is mentioned here, wind and the water, because they shook the lotus. So that strength, he was Brahmaji. That's why when he consumed the wind and water, it was mentioned like that. Therefore, Brahma drank that water long ago, at the time of creation, prior to the creation. So he had made reference to that, the verse. And he says, now I find that the same water has manifested again, and Hiranyaksha, having extraordinary powers, submerged the earth in this water. So he shows his helplessness. What shall I do? Therefore he seeks the Lord's power, Lord's strength in destroying Hiranyaksha. That's why he meditated on the Lord. So the Lord, from his nostril emerged the infant boar. Shishu Kola Rupi. Shishu means infant boar. Now boar word is a synonym. It has got three different meanings. Means boar as used in Sanskrit there are three different synonyms. One is called Kola, which is used here, Sukara and Varaha. Kola means that which is fat, which could be also known as that which is grosser. Here use of boar is fat, that we can see here. Sukara means Pung Prani Prasave. That's the meaning. Sung Prani Prasave. Su is the dhatu. The meaning of the word Prani Prasave means that which procreates or delivers many babies or children. That's how it can be seen here also. And Varaha means Varan Hanti. That means that which can destroy even the mightier. Varan means mightier, or mightiest also one can say, also can be destroyed. That is the meaning of the word Varaha. So the first represents the Maya Sarupa of the Lord, which is present in grosser form. Second represents the universe of names and forms emanating from Maya. And the third destruction there here means, of the mightiest here means, dissolution or taking back of the every creation of beings back in him, Laya. Back in the Paramatma. Him means the Paramatma, Nirguna Brahman. So born, sustained and dissolved in Ishvara is the Parabrahman. So we should not see the Lord as form of the boar here, which is only a superimposition. But we should see the boar itself as the Lord. In fact, Hiranyaksha saw the Lord himself in that form of a boar. Because himself being Jaya, during Gersh, he has come down remembering the Lord all the time. You could see the Lord himself as the boar, in the form of a boar. And not the boar itself as the Lord. Srishti has basis in the Lord. Brahman is the mediator. Brahmaji is always the mediator. And Prakasha, or the manifestation of Paramatman, is in the form of Prapancha. This is how we could see the aspects, three aspects here. So Avatara and creations are superimpositions. They are nothing but the Pratibimba Chaitanya of the absolute reality. Reflections of the absolute reality. Ishvara himself is nothing but Brahman modified in Maya. Brahman reflected in Maya is Ishvara. Therefore, Ishvara is the Pratibimba Chaitanya of the Parabrahman itself. So, Parabrahman is not separate from Ishvara. Ishvara's Swarupa is Parabrahman only. So, the Jnanis are the one who can see the Lord behind the reflected reality, which is in the form of a universe we see. And this symbolic interpretation can be given to this verse also. So, therefore, it is mentioned here, from his nostril, it emerged in the form of an infant boar. Infant boar, yes, represents it as the creation of the Lord himself, which has emerged to destroy the Hiranyaksha. That's how it should be seen here. we'll conclude in this manner here. We'll see the verse number 4 in the next session. Bhave bhave yatha bhaktihi padayostava jayate तथा कुरुष देवेश नातस्तम नोज प्रभो नाम संकीर्तन यस्य सर्वभाव प्रणाशनम प्रणामो दुःख शमनः तम नमामि हरिं ब्रह्म नारायण अखिल गुरु भगवन् नमस्ते हरि ओम. या देवी स्तूयते नित्यं विबुधैर्वेदपारगैः सा मे वसतु जिह्वाग्रे ब्रह्मरूपा सरस्वती. नमामि नारायण पादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायण पूजनं सदा वदामि नारायण नामनिर्मलं स्मरामि नारायण तत्त्वमव्ययम्. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Ayappan, Mahaperiva and Guru Parambara, we are now entering into the second 12, verse number 4. Angushtamatra vapurutpatitah purastat bhuyota kumbi sadrisha samajrimbataastvam अभ्रे तथाविध मुदीक्ष्य भवन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेरतां वितिरगाद सहसूनुभिस्वैः अंगुष्टमात्र वपुरुत्पतितः पुरस्ताद् भूयोत कुम्भिसदृश समजृम्भथास्त्वम् अभ्रे तथाविधमुदीक्ष्य भवन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेरतां विधिरगात् सह सूनुभिस्वैः पुरस्तात् त्वम् अंगुष्टमात्रवपुः उत्पतितः अत भूयः कुम्भिसदृशः समजृम्पताः विधिः अभ्रे तथाविधम् उच्चैः भवन्तम् उदीक्ष्य स्वैः सूनुभिः सह विस्मेरताम् अगात्. This is the Anvaya of this sloka. Purastad, at first, Tvam, thou, Angushtamatra-vapuhu, with a form of the size of a thumb. Utpatitaha, did emerge. Atha bhuyaha, then gradually, kumbhi sadrishaha, to the size of an elephant, sama jrimpataha, thou didst grow, vidihi, Brahma, abre, in the sky, tathabidam uchchaihi bhavantam, thou who are so tall, udhiksha, seeing, swaihi sunubhissaha, along with his sons, Vismeratam agad, was wonderstruck. At first, thou were only of the size of a thumb, then thou did grow to the size of an elephant. Brahma, along with his sons, seeing in the sky, thy huge form was wonderstruck. We saw in the verse number 3 that Lord emerged from the nostril in the form of an infant boar. Shishukola Rupi. It is an avatar, Varaha Avatara. Any avatar means avatarati, coming down. The descent of the Lord is for the ascent of a man or human being, or any being for that matter. Dharma samsthavanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge, says Lord in Gita. Here also, therefore the Lord took Varaha Avatara to redeem here Hiranyaksha, who is also one of his devotee, who was the Jaya himself, to take him back, who has come down on the earth due to the curse, and he could redeem them. Therefore, he wanted to redeem him and take him back to Vaikuntha. He took an avatar. So this was mentioned here. So he came from the nostril of the Vishnu came the boar. It was mentioned that way. Now here it is mentioned about how did the boar further emerge in terms of the power. It was only the size of a thumb, then it grew to the size of an elephant. So Brahma, along with his sons here means the rishis and also the Sanakadikas who were there. they were all amazed or wonderstruck. They could see that sight in the sky. It's not mentioned here. The power of Maya Shakti is unfolded here in a symbolic form. To be small initially, then become big, and thereafter even disappear, has become unmanifest, is all of the Sankalpa of the Maya Shakti. Maya is a mystical power which is inexpressible, anirvachaniyam, and considered as Ascharya, as a great wonder. It also indirectly relates to the power of the mind, which is the Sankalpa Shakti, which can also behave in this manner. Water pervades the wave, and not knowing this, an ignorant person may consider the water itself as a wave and get stuck in samsara, bound intellectually and emotionally, and then be wonderstruck, as Brahma is and his sons were wonderstruck or amazed at the huge form of the Lord, which is the symbolic meaning also mentioned here. Lord incarnated as Bora Varaha. And from Masaha Shishukola Rupi, he became the Varaha, mightier than the mightiest for slaying Hiranyaksha. This is the substance of this verse. We will now move on to the verse number 5. Verse number 5. Kosava chintya mahima kitiruttito me nasa putat kimu bhaved ajitasya maya ittam vichintayati dhatari shailamatraha sadhyo bhavan kila jagarjita ghora goram. Kosava chintya mahima kitiruttito me nasa putat kimu bhaved ajitasya maya ittam vichintayati dhatari shailamatraha sadhyo bhavan kila jagarjita ghora ghoram. Anvaya me nasa putat uttitaha achintya mahima asau kitihi kaha achitasya maya bhavet kimu dhatari ittam vichintayati sadhyaha shailamatraha bhavan. The tvam is implied here, so you should say tvam sadhyaha shailamatrah bhavan ghora goram jagarjita kila. Meaning, me nasa putat, from my nostril, uttitaha, which has emerged, achintya mahima, of inconceivable glory, asau kitihi, this boar, kaha, what is it, achitasya maya, the maya of the invincible Lord, bhavet kimu, could it be, dhatari, while Brahma ittam vichintayati was cogitating thus, or thinking thus, or pondering thus, tvam sadhyaha shailamatraha bhavan, thou becoming at once like a mountain, ghora ghoram jagarjita kila, did indeed roar in a terrifying manner. Meaning, what is this boar of inconceivable glory which has emerged from my nostril? Could it be the Maya of the invincible Lord? While Brahma was pondering over or cogitating thus, thou did at once become as big as a mountain and emit a terrifying roar. So, continuing from the earlier verse, Brahma and Rishis were totally amazed at the infant boar emanating from the nostril of the Lord. Lord assuming as inconceivable and gigantic form, which is partly is Maya Shakti. It shows the limitlessness of Parabrahman, which can transcend space and Vastu, object. Such extraordinary powers reflect the Prakasha or Chaitanya of absolute reality. It does not follow the empirical or Vyavaharika Niyama or order. Hence the imagery as the form of invincible elephant, which later becoming the mountain. The roaring of the Lord is responsible to the roar of is the response to the roar of Hiranyaksha. It was earlier mentioned also that Hiranyasa was carrying mace and roaring in arrogance, which was depicted in the sloka of Dasaka 11. So in retort, Lord also roared. That's how the verse ends here. We'll now move to the verse number 6. Urdhva prasari verse number 6. Tamte ninata mupakarnya janastapastaha satyasthitascha munayo nunuvur bhavantam tatstotra harshulamanaha parinadya bhuyaha toyashayam vipulamurtiravātarastvam tam te ninata mupakarnya janastapastāha satyasthitāscha munayo nunuvur bhavantam tatstotra harshulamanaha parinadya bhuyaha toyashayam vipulamurtiravātarastvam janastapastāha satyasthitāha ca munayaha tetam ninādam upakarnya bhavantam nunuvuhu tvam tatstotra harshalumanaha. Vipatti will be tesham stotrena harshulam prasannam manaha yasya chaha bhuyaha parinadya vipulamurtihi toyashayam avataraha. This is how it is mentioned here. The meaning here: the sages residing in Jana, Tapa and Satya lokas, hearing that roar of thine, praised thee. Being pleased by their praise, thou did jump into the ocean, assuming a very huge form and roaring loudly again, is the literal meaning of the verse. Here the mention is made of the lokas, 3 lokas, which are above Bhu, mainly the Jana, Tapa and Satya loka. The Vaikunta is above the Satya loka, the ethereal world. So Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha are the 4 words behind. We have seen that earlier also. All these lokas are pervaded by the limitless Paramatman. Vaikunta is the residence of Vishnu and Satya loka is the residence of Brahma. It is mentioned here the sages residing in these 3 lokas, basically the Janaha, Tapaha and Satyaha, were praising the Lord indirectly. The roar, how one can wonder how the roar of the Lord can give happiness or delight to the sages. Because the sages were delighted, they were happy by hearing the roar. The roar here symbolically represents the Omkaranada. In fact, the sages, when they were hearing the roar of the Lord, it was roar for others, for Hiranyaksha, but for the sages it was, they could discern the sound of the Omkara. Therefore, the Omkara sound which delighted their hearts. The Prapancha is consisting of 2. One is Pada and Padartha. Pada is the word and Padartha is the substance. So, Pada Prapancha Adhishtanam Omkaram. The substratum or the basis for the Prapancha, Pada Prapancha, the Prapancha comprising of the words and sound is Omkara. Padartha Prapancha Adhishtanam is Brahma. The universe of name of forms and attributes, that is called the Padartha. So their Adhisthana substratum is Brahma. Therefore the Omkaram can be considered as also the Brahma, because it is Pada Prapancha Adhishtanam. There is a verse which talks about the glory of the Omkara, says, Omkara Bindu Samyuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namaha. The Omkara Bindu is the Anuswara. Ma is coming on the Omkara. So that is being meditated upon by the yogis. And it gives also the moksha as well as kamadam. Here means also the enjoyments in the world. That is the power of the Omkara. Incidentally, the word Om comes from the dhatu called Ava. Ava means to protect, rakshati, rakshane. To add that to Ava, we add the pratyaya called Man, and then it becomes Avaman. Then Akara is it is deleted, so it becomes Avam. And through some prasarana, the Va becomes U. So A plus U becomes O, Om. That's how the word Omkara comes etymologically. So this Omkara they could discern, and Omkara sound could not give happiness. So Devas and even Rishis, they could discern the sound, and hearing the sound, the roar of the sound which resembles the Omkara, they were happy. And that's how it's mentioned here. Both Omkara and the Parabrahma Swarupa permeated the hearts of Rishis and made them more and more happy. It is also mentioned here, Lord entered the Karana Jala, which represents Narayana as the cause for manifestation. In fact, Brahman through the prism of Maya is Jiva, Ishvara and Jagat. All the three are manifestations of Brahma in a Saguna form, through the prism of Maya. Here, Hiranyaksha entering into the water. Hiranyaksha submerged the Bhumi in the water. And therefore, Lord entered the water to rescue the Bhumi, the earth, from the clutches of Hiranyaksha. So the Hiranyaksha represents the Jiva aspect. The Bhumi is the universe. Ishvara is the Lord Vishnu, who is in the form of a Varaha. And the water, causal water, represents the Karana Sharira. All these are reflections of the Parabrahma itself, Pratibimba Chaitanyam itself. It can be seen that way. And that way, the Lord Varahi is nothing but the Govinda. Govinda we saw as the name given to Varaha Lord in the 187th name of the Sahasranama Archana, where it is said that he is the rescuer of the earth, or as praised by the earth. We saw that name, Nashtau vai dharanim purma vindam ve guhagatam. Govinda iti tenaham devair vagbir abhishtutaha. That the Lord rescued the earth which was hidden in the lower regions. We saw in the Vishnu Sahasranama, and therefore praised by the Devas and the scriptures as Govinda. So the Lord Varaha is the Govinda who is trying to rescue, who is rescuing the Mother Earth from the clutches of Hiranyaksha. The verse ends in this manner. We will move to the verse number 6 in the next session. Bhave bhave yata bhaktihi padayostava jayate tata kurusha devesha natastam noyata prabhu. Nama sankirtanam yasya sarva bhava pranasanam pranamo dukkha samanaha tam namami harim param. We will move to the verse number 7 next. Narayana Akila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Hari Om.